Hello, everyone. This is my recorded discussion number 2 about eugenics and unwanted immigration. So, question number 1. According to the documentary, what arguments were used to justify excluding certain ethnic groups, and how were these tied to ideas of racial superiority? So, by excluding, I'm taking that to mean immigration wise, and in that sense, defining arguments or persuasive ideas uh, put forth for the people were definitely the insane pseudosciences that eugenicists used to categorize certain, or not even certain, most if not all, but just um, not really North European uh, ethnicities. I think I said ethnicities. With basically excluding them. They categorize them with certain negative traits. Um, Now, in the documentary, they explained, and let me get the quote on this, but it was Harry Laughlin's return to Capitol Hill and the reports on his study that convinced many on the House committee, of the perils of immigration. So Harry was a eugenicist, and an educator, and he basically proposed numbers that proved um, certain uh, nationalities had higher insanity rates, and that other ethnicities had increased levels of incarceration rates. And to take it back to that part of the question, how were these tied to ideas of racial superiority? Um, I think it sort of speaks for itself, but obviously, I think it's tied because it goes to show the propaganda and sort of I would say erasure of just practically pushing out what I mean by erasure, just practically pushing out uh, unwanted ethnicities out of America, and keeping the superior white genes um, in America. So now to move on to question number 2. In what ways, do today's restrictive immigration policies, such as ending DACA, terminating temporary protected status (TPS), limiting access to asylum, funding mass deportations, or pursuing denaturalization, echo the expulsionary goals of the 1920s? Do these modern policies still reflect beliefs about cultural or racial undesirability, similar to those behind the Immigration Act of 1924 and the Eugenics movement? So I think it definitely mirrors the 20s, the modern day, because these movements practically are a way to keep out the bad weeds, so to speak, and keep the profitable crops. The Americans, the true Americans, and it's even more I would say it would align. Uh, it's it would align well. Not what it just aligns well, because there's another quote that also sort of speaks for itself, um, and it's from a letter of Charles Davenport that he wrote, which says, "Can we build a wall high enough around this country so as to keep out these cheaper races, and that just spotlights how even now and even like a decade ago, 2015, 2016, the 2016 um like movements, if you know what I mean, are still super like relevant, and just how much they parallel each other, even though it's like, okay, the eugenics movement happened and we're still seeing the effects of that, like being like retread, if that's how you said retreaded, I don't know. And it's kind of crazy to think that, like, how are we still repeating this if we sort of know like what it ends up, what it results in, is I guess what I supposed, or what I'm trying to mean. And I think I answered the question there, but it just got me thinking. Now, the third question, finally, can you identify examples where race or ethnicity seems to influence who is welcomed and who is excluded? What does the history of eugenics and immigration tell us about who gets to be considered American? How do these policies shape national identity, and who is left out of that vision? Now, I think when it says who gets to be considered American, it's those who can provide value, a certain value, to the foundation. I'm using a lot of air quotes, but to the foundation of America, in how I said earlier, keeping out the bad weeds, keeping the profitable crops. Um, I think it's just overall about who can do most for themselves in a, because you present to like the greater, I was excuse me, like internationally you present like, oh, we have uh, the most profitable businesses, corporations, but not only that, but we have profitable just overall civilians and normal, just I was gonna say normal people, but you know what I mean, like just individual Americans, I guess is how I was just gonna say it.